EDGAR CAYCE Symbology and Interpretation of Revelation. Revelation Chapter 2. Revelation 2. Verses 1 to 7. Symbology. Church, Ephesus. Virtue, patience. Faults, left first love. Seal, 1. Vision, white horse. Spiritual centers, glands, gonads, desire. Lord's Prayer, bread. Angel of Ephesus. Mind cell or intelligence governing gonads. He with 7 stars. Overself or superconscious. First love. Spiritual ideal, purpose. Nicolaitans. Cells in this center, in this case, the gonads, that have degenerated through misuse and lascivious practices. Tree of life. The function of supply, healing and growth, the power of regeneration as manifested through the endocrine system perfectly synchronized. Paradise of God. The original consciousness of man, before he came into matter, and to which he will return. Revelation 2. Verses 1 to 7. Interpretation. Verse 1. In chapter 2, the Overself is speaking, pointing out to John the need for a cleansing and purifying of the forces of the gonads. Verses 2 to 6. The Overself is aware of the efforts of the intelligence found here to regulate and guard itself against destructive activities and pursuits, but says that the original purpose of this center has been lost. The mind cell is urged to bring about a return to the original purpose quickly, or lose its intelligence entirely. This would mean degeneration to the point of animalistic function of this center, instinctual, but without intelligence. Verse 7. In this verse the Overself gives a clue to the great riddle of the tree of life referred to in the book of Genesis, a riddle of the ages in the Western world. John is told that anyone who can regain control of this center could bring about within his body and mind, as well as in his worldly circumstances, complete restoration of the law of healing and supply. Revelation 2. Verses 8 to 11. Symbology. Church, Smyrna. Virtue, suffering. Faults, insincerity. Seal, 2. Vision, black horse. Spiritual centers, glands, Leiden. Lord's Prayer, temptation. Angel of Smyrna. Mind cell or intelligence governing cells of Leydig or Leiden gland. First and last. Overself or superconscious. Jews. Cells chosen for special development. Synagogue of Satan. Unregenerate cells. Tribulation 10 days. Period of purification. Crown of life. Symbol of state of perfect control. Spirit. Overself is speaking here. Second death. Regression from partial regeneration, broadly, a relapse. Revelation 2. Verses 8 to 11. Interpretation. Verses 8 to 9. The Overself instructs John to see that intelligence in charge of the cells of Leydig or Leiden gland is reassured, so to speak, for the sense of inadequate creativity in their function, that their possibilities are infinite once the unregenerate cells which thwart and limit the activity of this center are eliminated through a period of purification. Verse 10. If the forces of this center will be faithful to the discipline imposed upon it, complete control will be restored to that intelligence in charge. Note. The cells of Leydig seem to be the center of what, on the mental level, is called imagination. That is to say, the forces moving up from the gonads as pure energy take form at this point. In a mental sense again, purpose or ideals would be generated here in conjunction with the pituitary. Verse 11. The cryptogram here seems to say that the individual, who gains control of this center, will not be liable to regression from partial regeneration. Revelation 2. Verses 12 to 17. Symbology. Church, Pergamos. Virtue, faithful. Faults, stumbling. Seal, 3. Vision, red horse. Spiritual centers, glands, adrenal or and solar plexus. Lord's Prayer, debts. Angel of Pergamos. Mind cell or intelligence governing adrenals. He with sharp sword. Overself, superconscious. Antipar. Martyred bishop, state of loss of control of adrenal functions. Doctrine of Balaam. Corruption of cells, chosen for special development, through misuse and lascivious impulses. Hidden manna. The impact of the spirit upon the endocrine system, which releases its secretions into the bloodstream, creating energy. White stone. A point of higher development, a new stage of consciousness. A new name written. A new sense of identification in the part, for its relationship to the whole, responsibility. New name is also the means by which the spiritual impact can be repeated at will. Revelation 2. Verses 12 to 17. Interpretation. Verse 12. The overself now addresses himself to the mind cell, or intelligence, of the adrenal center, through John. This center is commended for its adherence to its basic purposes even during periods when control of adrenal functions has sometimes been lost. Verses 13 to 15. The adrenal intelligence is warned, however, against the misuse of its energies owing to the presence of unregenerate cells, here implying the need for purification on this level also. Verse 16. The two-edged sword symbolizes the power rising from the centers, which either blesses or curses, according to the will. Thus, the overself promises prompt surgery for the cells which resist discipline on this level. Verse 17. Now the overself states that, as a result of perfect restoration of self-control of the seven centers, the individual can renew and regenerate himself at will, as the Master did, by apparently releasing hormones from the adrenal into the bloodstream directly, as a result of the impact of the spirit upon the endocrine system. Moreover, in the resulting higher state of consciousness, the individual in knowledge of his relationship with the higher forces can effect contact with them at any time. Revelation 2. Verses 18 to 29. Symbology. Church, Thyatira. Virtue, charity. Faults, fornication. Seal, 4. Vision, pale horse. Spiritual centers, glands, thymus. Lord's Prayer, evil. Angel of Thyatira. Mind cell or intelligence governing thymus. Son of God. Overself, superconscious mind. Jezebel. Symbol of misdirection of creative forces. Reigns. Controls. Heart. Motivations. Satan. Unregenerate mind. Power over the nations. Control of all bodily parts and functions. Morning star. Original state of illumination or intelligence. Revelation 2. Verses 18 to 29. Interpretation. Verse 18. The overself is speaking to the intelligence, or mind cell of the thymus center. Verse 19. He commends its functions to date even though it is under a condition of limitation and promises that fulfillment will ultimately come about in abundance. Verses 20 to 23. Now he urges purification against the persistence of this center to misuse the divine forces for personal satisfaction. Time has been given in which to bring this about. However, if the faults are persisted in, only disintegration and decay can result. This, in turn, would automatically bring unbalance to the other centers. The overself, being in charge, is examining constantly the controls and the motivations of each center. Verses 24 to 25. The mind cell and those cells still free from misuse, however, will not be called on for any additional duties. These are admonished to retain the ideals of their perfect pattern. Verses 26 to 27. To the man who remains true to the perfect pattern, which is within each one of us, absolute control will be given him over all parts and all functions of the body. Verse 28. Such a man would return to his first condition in consciousness, complete master of his environment. Verse 29. Meditate on these things.